What's up, folks? Welcome to the Cool Nerd Show. As always, I'm Devin Burke, and I'm doing a solo movie review. Mostly because my friends didn't want to come to see this movie. And of course, if you didn't know by the thumbnail that you clicked on and the shirt I'm wearing, I'm talking about the movie Ghostbusters 2016, Answer the Call. So I'm going to talk about what I liked, what I disliked about the film, and we're going to get into actors and the story. So I'm going to start off with what I liked about the film. The film, it wasn't too bad. I had a great time watching it. And of course, I see some people online that really disagree with the film in general. And honestly, I really didn't see a whole lot of problem with it. A lot of things I mostly liked about were actually the Ghostbusters themselves. Like, all of them were fine and good. But two that really stood out for me were the characters Patty and Holtzman.
Having good uses of a cadaver today.
No, Dr. Frankenstein. We gotta turn in the body if there's one in there.
Alright.
Don't do that.
I know a lot of people saying, well, Patty's playing a stereotype. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's her character. That is how she acts. That's how she's supposed to be. That's her role. And she plays it well. Leslie Jones plays that character well, because that is Leslie Jones. You ever seen her in a lot of her skits on Saturday Night Live? That is her. That is her role. She was meant to be this character that they wrote for. And she does a pretty damn good job. And Kate McKinnon playing as Holtzman, she plays the crazy scientist. I guess you could call her as the Egon character, you could say, in this film, because she is the one that builds all the weapons and is quirky. But they kind of take her to more of the extreme route, where she's going more the eccentric way of showing how she does things and how she's more wacky and crazy type of way. And to be honest, I actually liked liked her performance. Also, another good thing that I liked about the film was the cameos from the older Ghostbusters. Yes, even Harold Ramis makes an appearance as a bust in a science hall. It's a very nice touch, and I completely agree with it. Also, you get one from Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson plays as Patty's uncle as the funeral homeowner. But Bill Murray, he's basically the Walter Peck of this series, and I love it, honestly. He plays that role perfectly of hating the Ghostbusters. And you can actually feel it in his acting when he goes to them. It's like, oh, you're Ghostbusters, huh? That's cute. I don't believe you for 1 second. That was one of the lines, and it really stuck with me because it showed that maybe even Bill Murray himself was directed towards the actual actresses themselves during this film. But they all played a great role. And now I'm going to talk about the bad. The ghosts in this movie, there weren't really a lot of, honestly. I mean, there weren't really a lot of ghosts in the first Ghostbusters film either. But this one, I feel like, didn't really show that much uniqueness, especially with the technology that we have. I mean, we had the first ghost that we saw, which is basically like the librarian from the original one, but this time it's a Victorian woman. Then we have a guy in the subway who was killed by an electric chair. Then you have the concert one, which was basically like a dragon. And then the rest were just basically all pilgrims, because that back in those times in New York, there were pilgrims there. And also Macy Day Parade floats ghosts. Especially one with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That was, interesting because I guess Thanksgiving, Macy Day Parade, pilgrims go hand in hand. That's alright, I guess. But the major drawback, and the thing I really hated the most, was the actual villain itself, is Rowan, the main villain. And he is basically any type of YouTube commenter or any person that is like hate on the internet whatsoever about the movie itself. Because he's just like, I was bullied when I was young, and now now I'm going to decide to destroy all Earth, and I'm going to eat people as a giant ghost. Solid plan, dude. But that was really my only gripe with it. I mean, I was okay with him becoming not the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, I guess you could say, of the series, but basically become the giant logo of the Ghostbusters. And the way that he says it and the way he becomes it is, a little weird how that happens. He becomes a cartoon. And I'm talking like a two-dimensional cartoon. He becomes two-dimensional, and he says like, oh, how about this? I see your symbol. How about this? It looks so cute. You want to catch me as this? Like, yeah, it'll be easy to catch you like this. Like, okay, I'll become like this. And then he just gets bigger. Why, phone? He's a normal guy. Like, he's a human being. And he's basically like a basement dweller, like lives in mom's basement type of like, hates the world because he was made fun of because of his weight and because he was weird. He has social problems. So it's just really weird that they're pulling that as the villain. Like, it feels like they kind of just saw the YouTube commenters and then they just changed the villain as they went by and they just made this person the villain. So I just feel that that's just an odd take of it. Like, I would have been fine, if it was like a human and everything was like that. But the way that they made him as a character that is just, like just hates people because he was teased when all through his life. I mean, that's not really a really strong motivation for myself, really. But let me talk about the story itself of Ghostbusters. So, as you can imagine, it is a remake of the original Ghostbusters. So you're going to get like a lot of the same intros and a lot of the same, not the same jokes, but like the same type of like steps that they ordered to take in order to become the Ghostbusters. Like, they even try to go and get the firehouse, like the actual firehouse from the series, as their first headquarters. But then they heard the price. It's like, no, we're not going to do this. So now they're at a, Chinatown Chinese takeout area instead. But the main story, though, is just with, as the first movie, going and trying to capture ghosts and trying to prove to people that ghosts exist and, trying to stop the main villain of the series. I mean, if you're like, hey, do you like the 1984 one or do you like the 2016 one, story premise? Everyone's going to say the 1984 one, don't get me wrong, even I do too. But at least this one had a unique take in it, especially since they had different Ghostbuster weapons other than using the proton packs. Like, they had pistols, they had grenades, they had one called the Shredder, they had basically like an MIB little cricket type of gun. So there was actually some uniqueness, but I feel like that was actually more for toy lines than actually for movie purposes, because it did feel like a little shoehorned in there. But I actually had a fun time with this film, and if I had to give it a rating between 1 through 10, honestly, I would give it a solid 7. It is just a average film that did pretty well, in my opinion. It's just a summer movie popcorn fest that it is going to become a franchise because Sony wants to become a franchise series, and especially at the ending credit scenes, they're just listening to a frequency of ghost waves saying the word Zool. So apparently Zool's coming in, which that means Gozer's going to be coming in. So I'm not sure if they're going to change that characters or how that's going to be introduced, since it'll be basically like the first movie again. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I thought it was completely fine, and I'll see you guys next time.